I had another slide, but it's very difficult to what we call validate or verify a computer model. And we had models out at Hanford where we tried to model the groundwater movement. We've had other models where we tried to model the atmospheric movement from the Met Tower out there, where we're in a known wind and a known direction and a known velocity and releasing known amounts of iodine-131 in 1948. We could make a model using all modeling techniques from Fick's laws to diffusion coefficients and so forth, and we can validate that by simply going out and measuring a mile downwind if the wind or model is predicting that value at that time. That's how you validate a model. You cannot validate a model which predicts catastrophe in the future, because no one's going to be around to actually check and see if the model was right. And if that isn't bad enough, in a recent paper, a scientist, or a couple of them, are now predicting warming 1,000 years from now. Well, isn't that sweet? Just drop that in the hopper at the local PI, and you got a scary message. They have no way of saying that they know the climate that well that they can predict whether it's going to be warm or cold or whatever. And some of us are standing up and saying, just a minute, let's have some checks. And every check that I've seen of the climate models, every one, from the southeastern United States to the 22 different computer models that Douglas and Singer tested, every one of them overstated the temperature. There was a time, if you look back, you can see what the temperature was. So they kind of back modeled. And every one of them overstated the known temperature. That's called a bias.
Gentlemen, we've made a promise that we would be out of here on time. We are running very close to that. I'm going to make a high-level executive decision and ask that we take one more question rather than have closing remarks. Would that be all right with both of you?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm retired.
One more.
I'm retired. I can stay here all day.
Yeah. But there are at least 3 people here who have to get back to work.
Dr. Log, my name is Zach Rinderer. I'm a nurse, and I'm used to treating patients that are ill or injured. And when I have to do that and explain in layman's terms to the family what the therapy is, how long it's going to take, what it might or might not succeed at, can you, with your prediction of the current problem of the global warming, give, in layman's terms, an idea, and again, in your opinion, of what would have to change in the production or use of fossil fuels around the world or in this country to avoid the circumstances, the consequences that you predict?
That's an excellent question, and there's a lot of work going on. There's an institute that has been set up, as a matter of fact, in Maryland to study just exactly that. The unfortunate thing is that we're already at the point when you put these things into the atmosphere. It's not like if we completely stopped man producing CO2 this afternoon, it's not like all that excess CO2 is going to magically disappear. It's in the atmosphere now. It's going to take a while for it to work its way back out. And so there's a lot of work being done on various scenarios, because if you're going to make the decision to try and mitigate what we're doing, there's a whole range of things you can do. You can literally shut it all off today, which is, I mean, nobody even remotely thinks that's feasible. Or we can make small steps and various intermediate steps and work our way through it. But unfortunately, we're to the point right now where things like the early spring melt that has been recorded in the Arctic, the 2008, the Arctic Passage was open, ice-free. It's the first time in known history that thing's ever been open. The year before that, the Arctic ice meltback was the largest on record, and 2008 was the second largest on record. And so the predicted manifestations of global warming, contrary to what has been alluded to, is a confirmation of the predictions. We're seeing greater Arctic temperatures. We're seeing ice melting back. We're seeing earlier spring melt in the Arctic. These are verifications of the model, and I'm sorry, but basing a judgment on a model that was done 40 years ago, I mean, frankly, our computer capabilities alone have come tremendously long way than that.
Time. Mike, a final word.
I am reminded of a scene in a New York Times article 10 or 15 years ago. A boat took a bunch of those wonderful green scientists out into the Arctic. And here at the North Pole was open water. And ergo, the green PhD scientist says, this is the first time in 50 million years there's been open water at the North Pole. And boy, the New York Times is all over that like a cheap suit. Until about 2 weeks later, somebody slipped over the transom at the New York Times a photograph of 3 U.S. subs surfaced at the water, at the hole at the North Pole. In other words, it had been a lot less than 50 million years since there was open water at the North Pole.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking our speakers, Chuck Long and Mike Fox. There is no doubt that we could go much longer, but we promised to be over at 1 o'clock. A quick word about Digger the Badger from our esteemed President, Mark Hardin.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you to our speakers. I also like to thank Dave Parmeter and Audubon for being our sponsor today. We do appreciate that, and we do have sponsorships for our forums that are coming up. Next forum, I believe, is going to be the 17th of April. It's going to be on Vista Field, and it'll be, I believe, at the Red Line Pasco. So each meeting we give out Digger for the best question, and from last time when we were talking about the Black Rock Reservoir and other water issues, Mike Aitchison asked a question about migration of water and what it might do to the plume, and so he's our Digger Award winner. Congratulations, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, that ends our program. Thank you very much for your attendance. We are eager to hear your comments and suggestions about future programs. Best way to reach us is through the website, columbiabasinbadgers.com. Right. .org, excuse me.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, and please turn in your badges at the door when you go out the door. Thank you.
Hey, Kirk.